if you didn't guess, we're Amerispec, and we're the iPro VIP affiliates now for y'all. And want to tell you a little bit about.
That's Matt Garris.
I'm Matt Garris. I'm the
I
president.
forgot his name.
I did.
Richard Fisher.
Richard Fisher. He's the chief inspector. And Richard, tell them a little bit about Amerispec, just to give them a little background on the history and stuff.
So Amerispec was established in 1987. We're in all 50 states plus Canada. Currently, we've done over 2 million home inspections as far as Amerispec goes.
And what that means to y'all is that Amerispec has figured out exactly what an agent needs to see, what a buyer needs to see, and more importantly, how that item and that issue is worded. It's where it's not alarming, but it's concise, it's to the point, explained well, good photographs. And there's a lot of pre-worded things in our templates, but there's also a lot of training that goes into how we word things, because not everything is cut and dry, and we have to do a lot of that ourselves. So we understand exactly how that's written. And that just goes with the background of certified inspectors and ASHI certification, which all of us are. And well, this is just our preliminary slide here. Let's get into the meat of this. Now, everybody knows basically what a general home inspection is. Now, it's what we're actually inspecting for is 400 different items, at least 400 items. You got exterior home components, electrical systems, roof, foundation, interior and exterior, and that would include your grade also, to make sure that's graded away from the home properly, 1 foot for the first 6 feet away from your slab, to make sure that the drainage is coming away from the home. Downspouts, gutter systems, to make sure that they hit splashes and push away from the home. You don't want moisture to come up against the side of the home. All those things are things that we look at. Heating and cooling systems. We'll test our AC systems to make sure that we're within the 14 to 22 degree delta from your air intakes to your registers. And we won't be able to test a heat pump on certain times of the year, which is basically a reverse air conditioner. When it's too warm out, you will be able to test the AC part, but those always have a backup heater, furnace, which it could be electric, could be natural gas, propane. And of course, regardless of the temperature, we can always turn those and inspect those. There are plumbing systems, of course. A lot of different materials they use with plumbing, depending on the different types of homes, different ages of homes. Older homes, we're looking at coppers and iron piping and polybutylene, which is a big problem in a lot of homes, and that's something we would definitely look for. And of course, know that newer homes are using a lot of PEX piping and even the manifolded type heating systems for your water heaters. Attic entrances, we walk attics where we can. Basements and crawl spaces. Richard loves those. He loves crawling in crawl spaces. Actually, I actually like doing that. It's fun to get down there in the bones of the house and see, what kind of things are happening. A lot of people don't go down there, obviously, but
And you're not alone when you go down there.
No, not alone.
That's why people don't like that.
But we have good lighting, and we have Richard bought some of his tools here just to kind of give you an idea of what kind of stuff that we have to carry with us. But that's just a little bit of it. We obviously have ladders, and we have coveralls and different things like that we wear when we go inside a home to make sure that we protect ourselves, as well as masks and other types of personal protection. So Richard, you want to take over on some of this here?
Sure. So everybody knows a general home inspection when, you're listing a house and somebody wants to buy it and they say, well, I want a home inspection. Real quick. So everybody knows what that is, but there's different categories of a home inspection. We still inspect the home over 400 points, checking everything.
And how long does that usually take?
So say a 1,500 square foot home, we spend about 2.5 hours to 3 hours on that. And then on the report side and going through all our documentation, whether it be videos or pictures that we do, we'll go through and that'll be another 2.5 to 3 hours. All our reports are done within 24 hours. You will receive the report within 24 hours of the inspection. When you didn't know you needed a home inspection. So pre-listings, it's big in Texas and some other states. We haven't noticed it here as far as people want, that are selling, wanting to get their home inspected, kind of find out, get the heads up of what's going on with their house.
Is that the same?
Full blown on.
It is the same inspection. It's just a matter of when it's done. And so when we're talking about our general home inspections, obviously you're going to do most of your home inspections when you have an offer.
Mhm.
And you give us a call or send us an email or however you want to contact us. And we'll talk a little bit about the app that we have too, that we can download exclusively for the IPO Realty team, to where you can actually have it on your phone, click on it, look at our schedule and see, oh yeah, these guys are open on this day and you're open at our schedule. You don't have to call us or wonder when you can set it. You can do that already. But all these inspections are done the same. They're just when they're done.
Yeah. Let me put all
then
these.
Does that depend, does that then depend on who pays for it?
It does. And we'll go into that. That's a good
So
question.
on a pre-listing, the seller was obviously pay for that because they're trying to gain knowledge of what they need to fix, because they might be worried that.
And that's pretty smart. Pre-listing,
Mhm.
you have to see where you stand instead of putting out a price and then they inspect it and the buyer finds out.
And then
what's
closing
going on
costs
with
and
this.
stuff,
And
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you possibly could lose a sale over it, where if, you go ahead and say, we know this needs repaired, we're going to repair this, or we're not going to repair it, give the people a heads up. New construction, we do new construction. We'll start out when it is just studs out there on the concrete, and we'll follow the home all the way through to the end of construction and then do a final full walkthrough.
I love doing those. I did one of those recently, started with the pre-drywall before they had anything up, and I can see behind those walls, things you can't visually see. So I can look at the electrical and look at plumbing and look at the engineered trusses. And I can see so many things. Particular house that I just did, I saw some felt paper that wasn't the correct grade for doing a roof, and they already had the materials up on the roof to do the concrete tile. And I documented it. Now, whether or not they took care of that before they moved on to it, if there's a problem 3 or 4 years outside of warranty, well, I don't have to testify to that. It's already recorded with photos and on my report. They know that they had a problem with it. It was brought up beforehand.
And that again is smart, I guess, on your guys' end, because eventually in 5 years that house might sell again. And you saw what's behind the walls already documented.
Well, the key thing is, most of the home builders are giving you a 12-month warranty.
Yeah.
Some of these issues that if you don't know about, it might be 2 years down the road before you notice a problem.
Right.
This particular house that I was doing was a 18-month warranty, but something like that may not have shown up as a problem for 10 years. Well, that's far shorter than the life expectancy of that roof. And, that's just not using the correct material. So there's a lot of things that you can see when you do a new construction. And we love doing those. They're fun to see it go up from that stage.
So there's no warranty for that problem that may surface 2 years from now?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on the particular builder and, what they warranted. There may have been something that covered that roof for longer than that, but their basic warranty, according to the buyer, they told me it was 18 months.
The generals hire subs. Right now, they're desperately looking for people. And we've been at the homes where the hot waters are backwards, where the power wasn't connected. We have a problem right now where they had like a pipe going out outside the wall. It was just like, what? So it's like I don't think that because it's new construction that it's built perfectly. There's lots of problems.
I did a brand new condo in Orange County, California, a few months back. It was a $1.6 million new construction, and there's 4 bathrooms in it, and 2 of the showers didn't have hot water in them.
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
it's
you would
like-
think on a build like that, but you know, you can find all kind of crazy stuff there.
Okay, yeah, I was going from the paradigm, new construction, new materials, what's gonna go wrong? But then they're just not, they're putting the pipes outside the wall apparently.
And there is, it is the same,
Yeah.
Whatever.
you know, as Richard was saying, it's the same inspection, but you're gonna find different things. Obviously, if you have no hot water to your showers on an existing home, you're gonna know about that. But on a new home, you just never know what you're gonna find. You're gonna find some different type of items there you have to look for.
Then we also do deferred maintenance. So deferred maintenance is if, let's see if we got
Yeah, we can still look more on that.
okay,
Oh, we can go into each one of these things individually now that listed. So go to the pre-listing.
Okay.
Just click on the next one here. There you go.
so pre-listing inspection is a typical home inspection that is ordered by the homeowner to identify potential concerns. I did this back in Texas when I sold my house. It's great. Find out what's wrong. You already know what your negotiating factors are. So,
Have you had in those experiences where the buyer was willing to, I don't know, have you guys do an update or something? Is there a way to save the buyer money, or is there a way to not pay for 2 inspections?
so if, say we do the pre-listing inspection, and then they have something fixed, say it's a water heater, we will come back out and do a verification or
Well, let's
repair.
just say the buyer then says, well, I want to, you know, I mean, I know you did this inspection a month ago, but I want my agents tell me to get an inspection. Is there any sort of we just talked to the title company, if they reissue your title policy in a certain short time, then they have some sort of reissue policy. Do you have such a thing as that, or?
Well, if we did the original inspection and we did the verification repairs, and if that was good enough for the buyer, or they didn't want a new
Yeah.
inspection, certainly, yeah, that would be, if it was good for you, it's
I was
good
gonna,
for us.
so I was gonna ask you.
Yeah,
But we would
Do we
be
have
glad to
to-
do it again, but
Does it have to be within a certain time?
No,
Like-
it really just depends. What we don't want to do absolutely is let a buyer move into a home, or, you know, we want to strongly encourage the buyer to get a home inspection before they move to a home,
Right,
before they close.
but if there's
But if
been
there's
one
a
in the
home
last,
inspection that's only a couple months old.
Yeah.
That the only, when you read newsletters and stuff like that about it, many of them are saying, one, that the listing agent pays for it as a kind of an incentive to list with me when you're talking about $1 million house or something. But also that I'm hearing both sides of it. I'm hearing some where, well, if it's a reputable inspection company, they're a third party, they have no interest in whether the deal closes or doesn't close, then it's fine. So if your buyer wants to accept that, it's fine. Then I've had others that say, oh, you can't rely on the sellers, you know.
So that's
But
what
the
I'm-
seller's not doing it, they're using a third party.
mhm.
okay, so if that's the case, then does that mean that the buyer is waiving their right to an inspection?
No, they're just like saying, instead
So
of me
they're-
paying for another $400 or whatever it is, how much do you charge?
So for a typical home, it's $350.
Yes, 350, 450, depending on the size and all that stuff.
correct.
So instead of a buyer repaying that again,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a way for them to save $300. And if it's a reputable third-party company, I personally don't see why.
I
you
would
accept
keep-
that
yeah.
report.
Okay.
But some buyers or some agents are gonna say, no, you don't want to accept that because the seller paid for it. Well, so what? It's this company, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
But so but that's a decision for your buyer to make, not for us.
Okay, sure.
But those pre-inspections, they are becoming way more popular. And because, one of the reasons, because our commissions are growing so fast, because the prices are growing so fast, that before we were like, you know, we made $2,000 commission, we weren't gonna pay $300 to the home inspector, but now we're making $10, $12, $15,000 commissions. You know,
Regardless, I think it's a good selling point because it's some documented proof pretty recently. I mean,
well, and they
to
also,
confirm it again, but
And it is, and it keeps your clients from coming back on you and saying, well, how come you didn't know about this? How come you didn't see this?
saw a stat that over a third of all transactions that fail is because of a
Mhm.
there was an issue with the house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It could have been taken care of.
That's a surprise.
Yeah, it's disappointing for everybody involved when that happens, except for us, because we didn't create the problem.
Yeah, you're just.
We're just giving you the honest assessment of that home at that point of time, what we found. And if it reveals something that stopped the transaction from going forward, well, way we see it is we gave good information so that particular buyer can make the right decision.
Absolutely.
So we don't have any horse in that race. We just want to do our jobs to make sure that we get you an accurate assessment of that home. And we don't have a problem with that. We feel bad that when things don't go through, that's never an issue for us as far as reporting on the home accurately.
I mean, it's their fault. They lost a good buyer
Well,
potentially.
and now, and just
Yeah.
because we're also,
They didn't know what their house.
they now
what's
have
going on
actual,
with their
Mhm.
house.
they now have actual knowledge.
Correct.
And you as a listing agent have actual knowledge. So you have to now, on all future buyers, that has to be disclosed. It's not like it went away.
Exactly. Disclosed or fixed and disclosed. Either way,
Mhm.
they have that documented now and it is proof of what was found. So they have to live with that now. And if they would have had it pre-listing before, they would have taken care of that and none of that would have happened. They would have known about it.
So the difference between pre-listing inspection versus buyer's inspection. Pre-listing inspection before listing of the home goes on the market. Buyer's inspection after an offer has been accepted by the home sellers. Pre-listing inspection, who pays for it? Home seller. And then, of course, with your typical home inspection, your home buyer.
How much, since you're like on a new build, how many times would you typically go out there and does it change the amount of time? I mean, travel time for sure, but does it change the amount of time that you guys spend doing that?
I did one recently. I'm still doing. I have a client that lives in up near Salt Lake that is buying a home in Laverca. It's being built now, and that's the one I did the pre-drywall on. And he's already paid for a full home inspection when it's completed in October. So I'll go back in there and do that. But since between the time that I did my first inspection and now I've already gone out there a couple of times. I did not charge him anything. I just went out there and took some pictures and said, hey, things are coming along nicely. A couple items that I kind of keeping in the back of my mind that I would like to see how they remedied it when I finally go out for my final inspection. But I just sent them some pictures. But there's times where they might want me to come back more than once.
Yeah.
And we would work out probably a verification or a repair type, probably $40, $50, depending, without a charge for, a service call. If it's too far out, obviously, we're gonna have to charge a little more than that.
Yeah.
But we would do that if they asked, but in this case, he just wanted the final inspection done, which is usually adequate. But some buyers want more.
Sure.
And we could
Especially
do
if
that
they're
too,
coming
just
from
depending
somewhere
on what
else.
they're, say, oh, we want you to come in after they, get the roof on, take a look at that, whatever. We'll come out there at different stages and look at it.
So back to our pre-listing inspection and buyer's inspection, pre-listing and buyer's inspection. Typical home inspection process, a third-party evaluation. That is us. We have no interest in, as far as monetary value from the buyer or the seller. Our dedication is to the home. What is the home telling us? What's wrong with it? If there's anything wrong with it. Help sellers plan for repairs or alterations that could affect the price, produce, pre and post closing issues. A lot of headaches for the realtors because the people that bought the house are now calling you complaining, well, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Helps the buyer negotiate price, and then they can go to the seller and potentially get any issues fixed before the close of the home. Again, all this works together really, and the way we word it is to help our realtors. We want you to succeed, And we want to kind of shield you from anything that could come back, on the home.
As far as the negotiation itself, obviously, we're not part of any of that, any kind of cost pricing or anything that it takes to repair. We don't even recommend somebody because ethically, it would look like we're finding things to send to another. And although I do have some very good people I'd love to recommend, obviously Richard and I would never take any money back from anybody, but we don't care about that. We care about how it could appear. So we just have a rule that we won't recommend a particular, we'll say a licensed a professional in this field, electricians or plumbing or whatever, but we won't ever recommend a particular company.
And we,
To a client or to an agent? Would you ever recommend to us?
To either, really.
Okay.
We just won't do it from a Amerispec standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good policy, because the appearance.
It's an
even though
appearance
it's not
thing.
in the heart,
Yeah.
We would never do that, but again, it's just, we don't want to even go
Yeah.
into down that road. It's,
and unlike some home inspection companies, we do not make the repairs. If somebody wanted repairs to us, one of the biggest things when we started this was ethics. If we're inspecting something and telling you that it needs to be repaired and then offer to repair that, we find that that's ethically
also-
not
now we could
good.
have our own handyman company also, but we could not do any repairs on any home that we inspect for 1 year. So usually the person's going to take care of that problem
Yeah.
before the year. So it pretty much puts us out of that realm of ever getting into that slippery slope.
So one of the benefits for the pre-listing is not only does a pre-listing inspection make a home's listing more marketable for the seller, but also helps buyers understand the home's condition and value.
Yeah.
So this helps set your listing apart from the competition, identify potential problems before a buyer views the property. It's our understanding that a lot of buyers are buying from out of state right now. Even different parts of Utah they're buying. We've done some inspections for a couple. We've done 2 inspections for the couple.
For the
Same couple.
Same road, and both obviously unfortunately didn't go through. And it was based on our accurate findings on those homes, and
Save the money.
and then they went out of their way, and I guarantee you, we'll be getting a call and we'll be doing a 3rd inspection
For them.
because
Yeah.
we've had long discussions with them, and they're extremely happy with how accurate and how well worded and
Everybody
how
says,
documented it
yeah,
was.
everybody sees the beautiful pictures online of the home. Everybody sees that. But if you're out of state and you're just going by the pictures,
Sometimes
not so
you
good.
reveals a little more once you get down into crawl space, and once you start looking at, the last home that we looked at for this particular client was they had some differential settlement on the slab. And then once Richard got inside, we saw some actual stress cracks around door frames and on the ceilings. At that point, we only can refer it to somebody that is licensed to look at that on the structural side. And
Yeah.
engineer, yes.
Benefits to the home sellers, gives the ability to compare costs and control repairs. There's some things that, as being a buyer and a seller, I've gone through is, yes, I'll fix this. Yes, I'll fix this. No, you can fix that yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
helps reinforce the asking price. I just inspected a home that was built in 2000, so it's 21 years old. That is the pinnacle of inspections so far for me here in St. George. That house was not only gorgeous, it was very well maintained. It's the only stucco house that I've inspected that did not have cracks in the stucco on the outside.
And all those stucco cracks are cosmetic, because that's not, but
yeah.
if you don't repair those, they're gonna cost you some money, and you don't want that. So it is a comment that we make on it, although we don't do superficial or cosmetic type comments. There are some that we include simply because it can cost you money later if you don't repair them.
You know, we
Just
get a
maintenance
good
item.
heavy downpour of rain, moisture gets in there.
Freezes out and, you know, it's gonna break worse and then it's gonna cost you a lot more than a quick seal. Especially around window frames, that's where you see the biggest problems.
So the pre-listing also decreases the chances of losing a buyer with unforeseen repairs.
Yep.
There's also multiple benefits for the home buyer if a pre-listing inspection has been completed on a home they're interested in purchasing. So this is already giving them a heads up to move forward for y'all. You know, it's going to save y'all time. Helps determine if necessary repairs completed prior to closing. This is where it's going to save you time. They already know going into the home what needs to be done, and that can be on the ball. Get your closing times narrowed down a little bit.
So actually, quick question, if you came in for a listing inspection and then they did go ahead and fix a couple of the repairs, you wouldn't do a whole new inspection?
No.
Just on those things that were,
Verification or repair.
Okay.
Yeah,
We would
just
come
on
out
those.
with-
So if it was the water heater, or maybe it was just a faucet,
right?
the water is extremely hard up here.
Mhm.
We've noticed that it's weighing in so far of about a 50-50. Those who have a water softener and those who don't.
Get a lot of packing stem leaks where you get leaks, you know, out of the actual faucets and not, you know, so it's just running around the.
Yeah, so it's all from
faucet.
the calcium.
And it is a lot of that stuff. It needs to be cleaned up, put new seats in or whatever, or replaced.
Wow.
And kind of dodge off for a second. This is the report that we give. So we'll send them a PDF report. We can also offer it in an HTML version. This is their binder. So they can put their report in there. It kind of goes through who Amerispec is, has a place for them to put their report. But one of the key things is it has their seasonal maintenance checklist already in their binder. And then our brand new home repair manual. Cracks and stucco,
Brand new
Yeah.
addition there. We had to wait a few extra weeks for that, but
Yeah.
it's actually a really excellent.
so it's a nice thick book
Really
for,
really well done, great pictures in it. And Amerispec has, you know, gone through and worked their magic and document things correctly in there to update things with the new types of.
Now, is that geared towards the homeowner, like things that they can fix?
so if it's a pre-listing inspection, the home seller gets that.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit.
And if they want to, they could leave that with the report, you know, and showing things, they could leave that for the buyer,
That is awesome.
which would be a great, I mean, that's just a little kind of a great gift.
And if it's not a pre-listing, the buyer orders, it, the buyer gets PDF and the binder.
Correct. Everybody that,
Schedule of maintenance.
Yep.
Wow.
A lot of times if we don't meet the buyer out at the home, after we finish our inspection, we'll still leave this on the kitchen counter, you know, for them. We'll just leave it
or
right
we'll
there.
contact the realtor and say, you know, when can we come drop this off for you?
Speaking of that, it makes me think I was gonna ask. So you do this inspection, it takes you 2.5 hours. Do you invite if it's the buyer paying for it, do you invite the buyer and the buyer's agent to come and like, do you explain the report?
We always encourage that. And it's about 50-50 if they actually make it out with us. And we love it when they do. And when they don't, we usually follow up with them. They usually call us after they
Mhm.
receive the report. And when our email goes out to them, it'll tell them, please call us. Please talk about this.
Yeah.
And if you have any concerns or anything at all, we'd love to talk
Yeah,
about it.
I've found on home inspections that if the buyer can beat the home inspector, they get this long list and they're like, oh my gosh, you know, and they can do a lot to calm down. Like,
Mhm.
this is just, you know, I mean. you
It's our
just make
favorite
it-
part.
Yeah.
We
It
love
makes
doing
a
that.
big
part.
difference.
Yeah, if they can show up, and we always make ourselves available. So the one couple that we've done 2 inspections for, you know, they said, well, they called, we kind of want to soak this in. Can we call you in a few days? No. They called us in 4 days. You know, I spent probably 45 minutes on the phone with them, you know, looking over the report while they were looking over the report, talking to them. And I told them, you want to call me next week? You got more, you know, if you're still interested in this home and, you know, want to go further or any questions at all. That's what we're here for. That's what they're paying for the Amerispec.
We send a 3-day follow-up after the report is delivered. And then we send a 90-day follow-up and then a 1-year follow-up also.
Although I'd still prefer, if it was me, if you can go to the property, because then they can like walk you over the water heater and show you what they're talking about.
Mhm.
Trying to visualize what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, that does not bother us all.
We love that part. I mean, it generally, the only thing that we had issues with is when the actual seller was there. We did a home recently as a 6,400 square foot home, indoor pool. It was beautiful, beautiful home. It was an older home, and we found a lot of issues in there, but you know, nothing really terrible. But
The whole
the
family.
whole family was there,
and their
teenagers
friends.
and their friends, and they were in the kitchen eating cake, and it's hard to inspect a home like that.
You need to start.
And you know, generally,
And they're asking us questions and it's like, you know, not to be rude, but
this was hard.
we're
It was
working
hard
for
to
the buyer, so we can't answer questions.
It kind of slows you down too, because you might want to start, oh, I gotta check the oven temperature, turn it on, and
Yep.
do something else, but now you have to put that off, you have to wait. Then they're in there.
There was a lot of things too that we couldn't inspect because they didn't start packing anything yet, and everything was full and the garage was full. But somebody was the man of the home was conducting business out of his office, and he was on the phone the whole time with the headset, had a big setup. We couldn't inspect that room at all, so it's just something we put on a report that I wasn't going to throw him out of his own office. That would have been
And
rude.
speaking of that, you also, you are not obligated, or part of your deal is you won't go into locked rooms or inaccessible areas, right?
Correct. If it's locked, we've had some that had a little sign, please don't enter this room. Totally respect that,
I just want that.
you know, but it's documented. We'll take a picture of the sign,
So
you know,
that's like for a pre-listing one.
at any home
On any-
inspection.
Yeah,
You gotta tell your
Interesting.
sellers when the inspector's coming out. make
So
sure
we
you know
noted in the report, this room is closed.
And locked, inaccessible.
Oh, so it's not- that's true. Wow, I mean, the whole deal with you guys, did realtors recommend home inspectors?
Yes, yeah, that's why they're here.
Okay, that's excellent. Yeah, I think that binder is a quality production that you guys put together.
well, we've got really good feedback on that ever since we
I
started
would
giving it out.
imagine.
People really
You're
like that.
actually helping the buyer. I know it's a neutral report, but based on the neutral report, they can go back and negotiate the price based on what's in there. And if it's report's looking good.
Yeah. And we do not, so if somebody says, can you find something? Now, this happens in Texas and it happens in other states. I don't know if it happens here, but when I was selling my home, and my home was a little over 3,800 square feet, gated community, 4-car garage, 2-story garage, you know, all finished out.
I had to clean that thing out, so I know, it's all of that.
The home inspector, I was walking out so they could do it, and she actually asked him, is there anything you want me to find? Not look for, but find.
Oh, gosh.
And which really kind of shocked me. The people bought the house. You know, there were a couple of repairs that weren't really repairs, but I said, I'm not going to fix them, you know, but it's just things like that. What you're going to find with me and Matt, we're best friends. We've known each other over 20 years. Ethics has always, we've worked together. Ethics has always been the key part of our business relationship.
But we're also not yes men. The reports he does, I check.
Yep.
The reports I do, he checks. And we call it like it is. We don't have to take it personal. If he feels strongly about something, and I do too, we work it out. But at the end of the day, we know we're giving you a better quality report. You can't have two people that always agree. And usually it's about what goes to summary and what
Mhm.
doesn't. If I feel it's a safety item, it should go to the summary, which is the beginning of the report. It's going to show you the main items that we found.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we discuss that.
And the second set of eyes looking over,
You always find things, You always get a better report that way.
I have a quick question. You said that you did a follow-up at 3 days, 90 days, and a year. So do you warranty your home inspection for a year, or what do you?
We're just following up with them to make sure that if they have any questions on anything, even if it's not really related to the report, we'll be glad to help them.
Yeah, they might have had something repaired and forgot to call us and say, oh, yeah, we can call them back and they can, do this verification of repair.
Okay.
We can come out.
So
and do that.
it's just kind of keeping in touch with our clients and, letting them know that we're there. Some of these other slides, they'll go into the new construction, which we've kind of talked about. But one of the ones I wanted to get to,
This is all good stuff here.
this is, so for new construction issues, incomplete projects. They got a crew, they're working on this house today, they're working on the house next door tomorrow or down the street. They come back a week later because they finally got parts in. Seeing a lot of projects that just missed. They started, they forgot to finish them
Or they didn't have the materials.
and just forgot about it. I mean, you have light sockets up in your eaves of your house, and it's wired. There's no lights, there's no light fixture. Malfunctioning systems, we test everything. I mean, we go through and test everything. Per standards in the home inspection business,
ASHI and INTRNACHI.
yeah, you're obligated to do a representable number of, doors, cabinets, light sockets, light switches. Everyone we get to, we test. We open every window, every door, every cabinet,
It tests
every
outlet,
switch.
both top and bottom, for polarity and for grounding, and see if it's working correctly. Yeah, everyone. You're not going to get any calls back to Marispec. Embarrassing calls saying I have a closet door that won't close and I have a bedroom door that's sticking so bad. How come you guys didn't catch this? And there'll be some inspectors that may have to say, well, according to ASHI and INTRNACHI standards, we're not required to check all those doors. Obviously, these are two we didn't check. Whoa, what an embarrassing call that would be. We'll never get that call.
No. Make sure that installation of any of the components in the house, whether it's been repaired or not, it's done correctly. So some more of the common new construction issues is improper grading and drainage. We see this on new homes and existing homes. People like to landscape and they like to zero landscape, but they're putting their rocks too close, too high up on their foundations.
Yeah, when you get
When
your dirt too high, your mulch even too high, all you're doing is adding the ability to get any kind of
termites, bugs.
We're destroying organisms to come in there inside your home. You got to keep it down. You got to keep it graded away, but you don't want to build up too tight on weep holes or on a brick or anything else, because you're just allowing something way in. And a lot of the vegetation too that will touch the home. It's nice when it's small. When it grows up and starts touching the house, that is a way in for anything. So you got to keep it cut back away from homes. We see a lot of that, and it's just a simple fix. But if the owner understood how important that was to keep away from the house, they would never do it. They would make sure that it was always cut away.
So concrete, we've all seen the concrete cracks. Some of them are minute. We'll comment. It's a cosmetic issue. Just seal it. You're going to save yourself a lot of time and money later on.
And You're talking about driveways or?
Both-
Driveways.
Both
Driveways,
driveways
house?
and stuccos, you know,
Yeah.
but, yeah, particularly driveways, they'll crumble up on you anyway, so they're only gonna last so long, but if you don't do some preventative maintenance, you're gonna have problems a lot faster.
Yeah. Separated wood flooring could have been from a water leak. Most of the time we're seeing stuff like this, or kitchens and bathrooms. It's real easy to tell if there's been a water leak in there. Real easy to tell. Electrical issues such as, like Matt said, open grounds, improperly wired panels. So far, most of the panels we've seen have been wired up very nice.
Yeah.
Electricians,
Seen some pretty good jobs out there.
Mm.
Yeah, but we do check for the different gauge wires. You know, we have to have 14 amp wires with 15 amp, 14
Yeah.
gauge wires with 15 amp fuses and 12 with 20. And, you know, so we look at the gauge wires and make sure we don't have double commons, that type of stuff. So we pull the panels and of course look at all the electrical wiring and make sure that the breakers are
operating, yep, right size. Overlook painting. This is in here because we inspected a nice home. That's what, 749, I think it's what it listed for and sold for. And the buyer was there during the inspection process. And we kept looking at this part of the ceiling and it looked like that just wasn't painted. Look, they missed it. Kept looking at it. Finally, we broke out all the lights and put on it. And it was just a shadow, the way the shadow was coming in the front window. But you could put one flashlight on it and it still,
Yeah.
it looked like a stain up on the ceiling, but it wasn't a stain. It was just a shadow.
Generally, we're not going to comment on painting because
Yeah.
you can see that. That's a cosmetic thing. That's not what we're there for. But exterior painting is a little bit different. If we have exposed wood that's not painted, we know that it's not protected. So
Yeah.
that's where we're commenting on. And along with painting, part of painting isn't just the paintbrush paint, it is caulking.
Yeah.
So we're going to always be talking about painting. We think caulking more than anything, because if you're not sealing around your cracks or your windows and what else, that's where your problems are going to be, regardless of whether it's painted or not.
So the difference between code inspections and home inspections. So you're going to hear people, okay, you're a home inspector. Do you quote code? No, we do not quote code. We'll tell you if it's right or wrong. So code inspections only measure up to a minimal structural and systematic requirements as specified by the local, city, and state. Right now in St. George, you're not required to have AFCI breakers,
in your
which are
bedrooms.
arc fault breakers in your bedrooms. The state actually requires it. But
And
your
as well as the
local,
national code,
as well as national code, but your local municipalities don't require it.
we're not enforcing it here. We still will list that as a comment, saying that during this time, but you never know, that could change locally
Mhm.
in a year or two from now. And now you don't have AFCIs in that bedroom. And that's what code is everywhere else in the country. Just not in this particular part of Utah. So it's something we'll list, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's a code thing and we'll comment on it, but it's not anything we'll list as a code number. We're not going to quote your code.
So code inspections do not advise homeowner on deficient items in the home. Do not reveal if best practices have been applied to the construction of the new home. Now, where the home inspector comes in, inspect the roof, enter the crawl space, climb into the attic and expose any potential problems everywhere inside that home. And if it's a hard to reach area, we have tools that we can find. Operate appliances. So we're basically like you going on a test drive of a new car. We're going to test drive, the buyer's new home, make sure everything's worked. We don't want any surprises when they move in and they're flipping light switches and going, okay, does this operate a plug or a light?
Yeah, we start the dishwasher when we first get in there too, because we know it takes a long time to run through that cycle. So we run that
Yeah.
dishwasher.
So we operate and confirm proper operation of all accessible exterior and interior doors, windows, including the locks. Few homes, the doors stick, locks not working properly. Check the plumbing hookups and pipes to confirm proper installation and look for any water or moisture related issues. Every,
Richard? He brought his tools to show you a couple of the tools that we have that really help out.
so if you, okay, if you're looking for moisture in a home, you need these two items. Moisture meter and a thermal imaging.
So that'll show you your cold spots on walls, and that'll tell you exactly where you need to hit it with that moisture meter.
Wow. And now it's like, you find stuff frequently. Don't you?
Well, we do. And so far we've found 3 homes now with black mold.
Wow.
So mold is in every home in the US. It's in every home in the world. Mold is everywhere. But when you've had a water leak, even in a dry climate like Utah, if you have a water leak that nobody's repaired and it keeps going, it keeps feeding this mold. Some of the mold, I'd be shocked to show you the pictures. It's pretty bad, the ones that we've inspected, you know, and it was hidden.
So it's inside. like,
Inside the walls.
Underneath things. And, yeah.
Yep.
Really deadly too. if you're even
It is.
Several
It
hours.
can be a health hazard, yeah.
So deferred maintenance is just people not doing their due
It's to fix-
diligence.
It's a fixer-uppers, and this really falls into a pre-listing, the deferred maintenance. Somebody wants to sell a home and not do the repairs, and they want to know what's wrong with it. To me, it's just like Richard said, deferred maintenance is a pre-listing.
Yeah.
It's just something that's in a.
This is what it is to your buyers, you know, okay. Well, I know I'm going to have to replace, you know, the water heater. I know I'm going to have to replace the roof. There was a leak in the bathroom. The wooden floors rotted.
We'll give you a great itemized list of that, so you can go out for bid on what it's going to take to repair and replace.
So some of the common deferred or water damage, like I discussed, exterior decks, plumbing issues, seen quite a few of those. So selling a home with a deferred maintenance, I'm trying to hurry up
Go
here.
ahead through these, because really there's only one slide here that I really want to go to, and that's this one,
Which one?
this third one.
Okay, experts often recommend that all homeowners, particularly those with older homes, have a professional home inspector check their homes for deferred maintenance items.
Yeah, that's really all that.
What
Cut
do you
kind of
mean
something.
by older homes? What do you classify?
You know, that's a great question, because Richard just mentioned a home that we did that was a little over 21 years old. It was immaculate. And we have seen some that are 3 or 4 years old that weren't that good.
Right.
Now, it doesn't matter really how old a home is. It's just how well it was maintained.
Okay.
And there's a lot of great looking homes that they had rented for a year or two. It wasn't in the same condition as what that seller thought that it was going to be when they listed it. And so we're seeing that a lot. So
But you're looking at something like, say, an older home, are you looking more in that deferred maintenance for the systems, like the water heater and the AC and those things that aren't going to last?
things that look like they could be end of life. I know Bruce is looking at the clock, and so
Yeah.
we're at the end here, Bruce.
But real quick, if y'all have a home listing and you're doing the open house from the Washington County Board of Realtors, and we happen to swing by just to say, hey, and look at your listing, the first thing I'm going to look at is that AC return. If that filter is dirty and there's like dust and everything on the metal, I already know I need to inspect that home.
Leave a card.
You know, one of the things,
Appliances last 10 to 15 years, is that right?
Correct.
Isn't that what they say?
correct.
So.
Yeah.
But plumbing and electrical, won't they last 20 or 30
they're well maintained, it should last a long time. It's all about maintenance. We did an inspection recently where the electrical system was actually fairly new, but the panel was actually gone and laying in the yard on the
So
electrical box.
the breakers were
all of those
exposed to
breakers
the
were
weather.
corroded out and exposed to the weather. That's a repair replace. You can't
So
fix
how
that.
how do homeowners maintain their electrical? I mean, what do we just have people come out and check every few years?
Oh, they can
or-
do it themselves, and everything is in that manual. If they go out and see the cover to their electrical panel is
Right.
not
That's kind of
closed, or
obvious.
Pretty obvious.
you'll get rodents, you'll get birds inside there making nests.
And as far as plumbing, do you see lead pipes anymore? Installed homes with lead pipes?
We do, but we haven't ran across any yet in this area. No, we expect
There
to.
might be some of the older downtown.
Mhm.
Well, that and we're going to see a lot more of that in the higher elevations, like in our county, once we get up on the mountains.
Yeah.
Well,
Quite high.
They're
some of the
older.
homes, the older construction that we're seeing up there that I've already talked to some agents there, and they said that they're running across, they have some older systems up there that they run across some older, real older homes up there too. We do things pre-1900.
Yeah, we have some
homes
of
in
those
that,
here.
but those are incredible. I can't wait to do that.
Oh, heck yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
That's their $750.
Right, it's a little different.
There'll be a different charge.
So we serve the lower four counties, Washington, Iron, Kane, and Garfield counties. We do not charge trip fees in Washington County at all. If you have a inspection you need us to do in Cedar City, Enoch area, we don't charge trip fees to go to there.
Most